Hello, my wonderful, amazing artists. It's me, Miss Abby, your art teacher. And today we're going to make art using our imaginations to imagine what life will be like in the future. So we're going to pretend that we are traveling forward in time in a time machine to see what the world will look like in 100 years. Like, how will people be getting around? Will we be using cars still, or will we have flying cars? How will people dress? Are we going to continue wearing clothes that look like this, or will people have different style? And how will cities look? Do you think we will have super shiny skyscraper looking cities like in the Jetsons? Will communities embrace kind of their past and their traditions, like Wakanda in the Black Panther movie, where they embrace kind of different African civilizations, traditions to create this futuristic city? Or will things get a little bit more, or will people have a different relationship with Earth, and maybe people will go back to growing their own food and living alongside plants and animals more and more in nature? Or will we be living on the moon or in outer space? I don't know. Use your imagination. Think about what the future is going to look like. And you can also draw yourself in the future if you want. So this is really cool. We're going to draw a future landscape or cityscape and think about how people are getting around the city. Is there any nature? Is the city Boston in the future, or is it like a Mars city, or is the city hit by some kind of apocalyptic storm? Let's think about it. This enables us to think like futurists or Afrofuturists or like science fiction writers. That is their idea, is to think about, okay, what is the world going to look like in the future? And your art challenge today is to think about designing a city in 100 years with really fancy technology. And for this project, you can choose drawing or collage, glue and scissor and paper. Or if you want to go crazy, maybe try building something in 3D. It is up to you. We're all thinking about the same idea, but we can take it in different directions based on what we have in our classrooms and in our homes. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to start with my cityscape. I'm thinking about what will Boston look like in 100 years. So I'm going to start with the ground. Give lots of space to all the buildings and stuff. And I think in the future, a lot of Boston might be kind of underwater. And that people may have just figured out a way to make that work. Like maybe the downstairs in a lot of buildings is like an aquarium. And because, people always are talking about sea levels rising on the news. And I just think that would be kind of cool and interesting to live alongside the fish in the ocean. That also means people would get around on little boats everywhere. And we would have buildings. And I think Boston would probably have a mix of old and new buildings, just like it does now, right? It has old and new buildings. Like it has this building looks kind of like my house, where it has those triple-decker porches. I'm going to make the water different. It has triple decker porches, and I guess mine would be a beachfront property. You know, there might be some beach action. I don't want it to be all water. That wouldn't be fun. That would just be stressful. But my house is triple deckered, and it has 3 stories, so I'm thinking about that. Gotta have some windows on my buildings. So I've got that going on. And so there'd be a beach right here. And I would like to have some gardening. I think in the future, people will probably be, in the future, I think people will probably be good at gardening better than me right now. I'm still learning that stuff. So we'd have like a little fruit tree maybe. Like maybe there would be like some apple trees. I think people will be growing their own fruits in the future and being like a little less dependent on the grocery store. And I also think people will get around here is my spin on what the world might look like in 100 years. And let me show it to you. I was thinking about what Boston as a city might look like. And that I thought people might be getting really good at gardening and like wanting to live a little closer to their food and maybe growing some apple trees, and maybe scientists will figure out a way for them to grow faster and it'd be easier to grow them at home. And I think that I've heard about sea levels rising, and I think there might be more beaches and more water. And I decided there might be like an underwater restaurant or cafe that maybe people go to on their birthdays or when they graduate high school or elementary school on the lower part of the building. So the building will be a little bit underwater. And that people will use flying cars to get around, and there won't be as much road. And there'll be hover scooters for all the kids to get around instead of our wheelie scooters that we ride around on now. So that's my idea of what life might look. Oh, and people can dye their hair crazy colors, and everyone's cool with it because it's just your hair. And that was my idea of the future in 100 years. Now I would love to see what you guys think life will look like in 100 years. Whether you're drawing a whole city like me or just like one thing, like a futuristic robot that's going to make our lives easier, or a like a new way of playing or getting around. Like, what about hoverboards? I don't know. Or flying cars. What do you think it's going to look like? I want to see. Think about different movies or books or TV shows you've seen that take place in the future. And also think about kind of things that you've seen or experienced that seem futuristic. Like, I still think teaching art online is pretty futuristic, right? Bye. Have fun making art inspired by taking a time machine trip to the future. Bye.